How you doing?
That's unreal. Are you speaking? Is that what?
Yeah.
I'm just like, I know you're speaking. Who else is speaking? Josh Beal.
The other one at the.
When we started.
The one in the gym, had a nice candy bowl, and I was sitting there.
Yeah, of course. Probably not.
So like, too nervous or like good nervous?
I have no idea. You know, so when I played football, every single game I had. But you know when it went away? When I got to be on defense, I got to crack some skulls.
Oh, I was going to say that you guys.
All right, everybody, good evening. We are going to go ahead and get started. My name is Tiffany Fergus. I'm the founder of Black Clarksville. We are a 501c3 nonprofit founded in 2019 with the goal to just educate, uplift, and empower the Black community here in Clarksville, Tennessee. We do a lot of programming, mostly focused around Black culture. And then I've also recently established our Black Clarksville Business Group, and then we do dabble in the political sphere as far as wanting to make sure that we're educating our community. Montgomery County has some of the lowest voter turnout in Tennessee. We are nonpartisan, but we are not non-political. So we're hosting multiple candidate forums across the next couple of months that'll lead up to the August election. The way we group these is mostly based off these school boards. That way we could collect the county commissioners who are also in those areas. For the following ones, we have added in some of those county positions. So the mayor will be, the mayor candidates will be in one, circuit court clerk, general sessions judge, and sheriff. So those will be added in. Today we're going to be doing county commissions 16, 14, and then school board 5 and 3. And we're going to start with the county commission. I do also want to make sure that I uplift that August 6th is the next election. All the candidates in these forms that we're going to be doing are going to be on that ballot. We have Equity Alliance, who is here doing voter registration for us today. Also have those candidate guys. And just so we're clear, July 7th is voter registration deadline. Early voting is July 17th through August the 1st. We now have 4 early vote locations. We are literally inside one of them currently. The others are Rich Ellen, CDE on Wilma, as well as the Election Commission, of course, on Pageant Lane. That's all of my announcements. But we're going to start with County Commission. Why is County Commission important? So the Montgomery County Board of Commissioners serves as the legislative and policy-making body for the county. They are responsible for passing local resolutions, adopting the annual budget, setting property tax rates, and overseeing the county's public operation, services, and infrastructure. Basically, up, down from the governor, who the governor is? Our mayor. They are our next biggest lawmakers. So we're going to start with our county commissioners today. We did invite all county commissioners running for these same positions. Not all of them accepted. But we do have here today Adrian Dailey, Joshua Beal, if you guys want to come up. And then I'm going to pass over to Darryl Anderson, who is our program and event director with Black Clarksville. She'll introduce herself and then talk a little bit about how we're going to pass through the forum.
Awesome, good deal. Good evening, and thank you to Black Clarksville for hosting today's forum. Thanks also to all of you that came out tonight to listen and ask questions and take part in the process. My name is Joshua Beal, and I currently serve on County Commission for District 14. I'm running for re-election because I believe the county needs steady, experienced, and independent leadership, especially at the local level, where the decisions we make affect people's everyday lives. County government is not about slogans, party labels, or political agenda. It's about public safety, schools, roads, emergency services, budgets, taxing, zoning, and making sure basic services are handled responsibly. These decisions require someone who is prepared, accessible, and willing to do the work. During my time on the commission, I have tried to serve that way. I have worked to be available to citizens to keep you updated, ask tough questions, support services, and make decisions based on facts instead of emotion. I also believe leadership means being willing to show up, even in rooms where everyone may not agree with you. I know that we may not all see every issue the same way, but I love this community, I respect the voters, and I believe elected officials should be willing to listen and answer questions directly and not just stick with their echo chambers. Tonight, I hope to show you who I am: experienced, independent, community-minded, and committed to putting people ahead of politics. Thank you again for the opportunity, and I look forward to the conversation.
How you doing? Good, good. Glad everybody's here. Before I get started, I just want to say two things. I always got to thank my mom and dad who's no longer here for just me to be where I am today. Okay? My name is Adrian Dailey. I'm running from County Commission for District 14. I'm against Mr. Josh Beal here. I am a Clarksville native, born and raised. I went to Burton in Providence in Northwest High School, graduated in 1992. From that point, I went on to join the Air Force. So I did 24 years in the Air Force in the budget and accounting and finance. So I know budget and accounting very well, but I also worked in logistics. So I'm very rehearsed in those aspects. But I'm also a father, grandfather. I'm always watching my kids, my grandkids, excuse me. I just had them here earlier today as well. The main reason why I'm running is because I came home every year. Every year I was away, I came home. But every year I came home, I always saw a little bit change, a little bit change, a little bit change. But then, eventually my father told me one day, he said, son, come home. So I decided to come home. But while I was at home, I was looking around, and I was like, kept complaining about things over and over again. But then I told myself, you can either complain with no action, which will equal no action, and I decided I want to be about that action, so I wanted to get involved. Clarksville means everything to me because this is my roots, this is my home, just like everybody else. I want to make Clarksville not just a home for me, I want to make it a home for every single person who's here and every person who's coming through Clarksville, either for one day or for the rest of your life. But I love Clarksville, and that's the reason why I'm running. I'm running also on strong growth. I'm also running on smart growth and strong community. Because I'm all about community and strong growth, because I want to see us move in a direction that we need to be moving into.
Okay, so the first question. What do you believe is the biggest challenge currently facing Montgomery County, and what specific steps would you take in this role to address it?
I believe the biggest challenge is managing the rapid growth while trying to keep up with the infrastructure. Our infrastructure is behind. It is absolutely behind. Well, I mean, you look at the traffic, the school overcrowding, roads, utilities are already major concerns and behind. Every time that I walk out and I look out my front yard, you say, I look, man, we need to work on this. The thing is, it's not just the county, it's also the city. So my steps, what I would like to do is, I would like to look at a long-term planning with a phased approach. Meaning, we need to actually have more collaboration with the city as well as the state and the federal when need be. And we need to have great communication between all the departments. So I'm willing to actually go to every single department, learn every single thing that's going on to see where we can find better ways to improve, to move forward. Because what we're doing now is simply not working. Because I would like to be more proactive than reactive. we're constantly on the reactive stage. And it's time for us to put things in place so that we can be more proactive and move forward.
Mr. Beal, what do you believe is the biggest challenge currently facing Montgomery County, and what specific steps would you take in this role to address it?
I think the biggest challenge facing the county is making sure that county government can meet the needs of a changing community without losing sight of the people who already call Montgomery County home. That means that we have to be responsible with growth, but it also means we have to be responsible with taxpayer dollars. For me, the issue is not just one single thing. It's making sure county government is planning ahead, communicating clearly, and making decisions that are sustainable long term. Firstly, I would continue focusing on the budget. The budget drives everything the county government does. We have to fund essential services, but we also have to respect the fact that every dollar we spend comes from taxpayers. Second, I would keep pushing for better coordination between departments, elected offices, the school system, emergency services, and city and state partners. Too many problems get worse when government works in silos. And just on a side note, being on the county commission, I have worked hard to do that. Third, I would make sure residents are brought into the conversation earlier. People may not always agree with every decision, but they deserve to understand what is being discussed, why it matters, and how it affects them. Finally, I would continue being accessible. I think that's one of the most important things that a representative can do, is respond to people, show up, and be honest. Montgomery County doesn't need leadership that simply reacts to problems after they happen. We need steady, experienced leadership that asks the right questions, plans ahead, protects taxpayers, and keeps people at the center of every decision.
The next question, how will you ensure transparency, accountability, and meaningful communication with the people of Montgomery County if elected?
Transparency to me is more than an agenda and saying, it's more than just posting an agenda and saying that the public has access. While that does meet the legal requirement, real transparency means people can actually understand what we're discussing, why it matters, and how it affects them. As representatives, I believe our job is to communicate before, during, and after a vote. Before a vote, residents should know what's coming up. During the process, they should know how to ask questions and share their concerns. After the vote, they deserve to know why we voted the way we did. Accountability means being willing to stand behind your decisions. I may not always vote the way someone wants me to vote, but I should be able to explain my reasoning honestly and respectfully. Elected officials should not disappear after difficult votes. Meaningful communication also means meeting people where they are. Not everyone watches meetings. Not everyone reads the agendas. Not everyone uses the same social media platforms. So I believe using multiple ways to communicate, phone calls, email, social media, community meetings, forums just like this, and having one-on-one conversations with people. I also believe communication has to go both ways. It's not enough for elected officials to just talk to people. We have to listen, especially when residents are frustrated or feel like they have not been heard. I will continue to do that. I will continue to be accessible, responsive, and honest. I'll explain what I can, admit what I don't know, ask questions when something doesn't make sense, and do my best to make sure that citizens feel informed, respected, and included in that process.
How will you ensure transparency, accountability, and meaningful communication with the people of Montgomery County if elected?
I believe transparency begins before any decision has been made. We need to inform the residents when it's even a thought. So as soon as, this is what I said, and I was actually joking to somebody the other day. I said, I'm gonna be like a tattletale, because I'm here to tell you, I'm telling it all, because I wanna make sure that every single person knows exactly what's going on at all times. But also I would support a clear access to information. Sometimes people don't work in certain types of jobs, and they might understand certain vernacular of how something needs to be said or delivered. So I need to make it a lot clearer for people to understand the message. But also, I needed more opportunities for public input, because what you say matters. What you say is important. You are the community. We make up Montgomery County. So your input is absolute value, and it needs to be heard. I might be the face, but you're the message, and that's exactly what I want. So we need to make that message easier to understand, and as well as having more frequent town halls. I've been to a few town halls, and I love how it was actually set up. and we had quite a few different commissioners who showed up and things of that nature. I would like to have a town hall absolutely once a month, but also quarterly try to make sure everybody else is there so we can ask different questions, because, you know, it's 21 commissioners, you know, and we should be all in this together to make Montgomery County better. So if we're not being transparent, something's wrong. So the accountability is being open and honest with who you're speaking with. So if I say it might take 10 days to have something done, but it takes 12, then I need to be open and honest and say, you know what, that's on me. I did that. But I also want to make sure that you see who's voting for what and how they voted. Because that matters. And then you know who you should be voting for and not voting for. So that's part of transparency and accountability.
Right now, we have questions specific to the county commission office. The first one is, with Montgomery County growing rapidly, how will you ensure infrastructure like roads, schools, fire services, and sewers are planned and built alongside the development rather than after the problems arise? Mr. Dailey?
Well, infrastructure, it has to be planned with growth. We have to stop being so reactive to everything we do. The goal should be to build a complete communities, not just a subdivision. And with that in mind, you know, we should require infrastructure impact studies before development is even approved. We should make sure that we are looking at every single avenue before we say, you know what, I'm gonna sign off on this. You know, we need to coordinate and look at long-term phase planning between, like I said before, county and the city, the school system, and utility providers. We need to make sure that we can actually put that where we're planning on putting that subdivision at. When it comes to expanding roads and sewer projects, we need to look at high-growth areas before the congestion. We need to be focused on again, we need to be proactive in looking at where that, what's going to bottleneck at. And where that's bottleneck at, we need to work on that and get it fixed. With just me going out, I have family who live out in Woodlawn, and the whole new subdivision is going out there. Guarantee you it's going to bottleneck when they're trying to get back on 101st. Guarantee you. But have we thought about that? Proper planning. We need proper planning. And we need to prioritize mixed use and connected development patterns to reduce the strain. Again, I'm about responsible and smart growth, and we need to work on this together. I cannot do this alone, but we can do this together.
Commissioner Beal, with Montgomery County growing rapidly, how will you ensure infrastructure like roads, schools, fire services, and sewers are planned and built alongside the development rather than after problems arise?
So, for a long time, it seemed like the city and the county didn't think everything through when they just blanket approved all these developments. The problem is that we're playing catch up now, and during my time on the commission, I do feel like the county has done a better job of trying to be more proactive. You know, we work very closely with the RPC, with our city partners, and you know, we have to remember the difference between county commission and city council. District 14 is entirely inside the city. So when it comes to zoning cases that affect our district, we don't vote on those. It's our city council counterparts that vote on those. So that communication is happening. But just during my time on the commission, we have planned very well. We have built 4 new schools. We started a new full-time county fire service. We built new EMS stations, the public safety training complex. We're building another one out in Woodlawn, another one out off exit 8. We built a bigger and better animal control facility, a second library branch finally, and a new highway facility, and we've expanded several county parks. We're also finally seeing some major healthcare investment with 2 more hospitals coming to Montgomery County. Those are real steps forward. That shows that the county is trying to prepare for the needs of a growing community. But we also have to remember that the county commission cannot place conditions on zoning cases. We either vote them up or we vote them down. We can't say yes, but with conditions. The law does not allow us to do that. So that's where us working with the RPC is very important. Growth is a fact of life, no matter if we like it or not. We have to be able to manage it responsibly.
The next question, what specific actions would you take to address affordable housing and the rising cost of living for working families in Montgomery County?
I think the first thing we have to do is be honest about what county government can and cannot do. County government cannot single-handedly do things like lower grocery prices, control interest rates, insurance costs, or home prices. But we absolutely can make decisions that affect the cost of living for families, homeowners, renters, and small businesses. For me, affordability starts with fiscal responsibility. Every time government raises taxes, increases fees, or adds unnecessary costs, that pressure eventually lands on working families. It may show up in a homeowner's tax bill. It may increase a renter's rent or the cost of doing business. So one of the most important things that we can do as a commission is take the budget seriously and make sure that we are not asking taxpayers for more unless it is truly necessary. When it comes to housing, I believe we need to encourage a reasonable mix of housing options while still protecting existing neighborhoods. We have to realize that not everyone is in the same stage of life. We have young families, seniors, single parents, veterans, and working adults all need places that they can afford. But that doesn't mean every project belongs everywhere. We also have to look at whether our processes are clear, fair, and efficient. Delays, unnecessary red tape can add costs that eventually get passed on to the buyers and renters. At the same time, though, we should not lower standards or ignore quality of life just to say we are doing something. I would also support working with our nonprofits, our faith-based organizations, responsible builders, and community partners who are focused on realistic housing solutions. The bottom line is this: affordability is not just about housing, it's about taxes, it's about wages, it's about transportation, it's about childcare, utilities, and everyday costs. County government can't fix all that, but we can make disciplined decisions that do not make the problem worse.
Mr. Dailey, what specific actions would you take to address affordable housing and the rising cost of living for working families in Montgomery County?
I support a wider mix of housing options. I agree with you on that. I do. Looking at starter homes, townhomes, workforce housing, and duplexes, as well as one-story homes. Just me, when I just moved back here, I was looking for a one-story home, couldn't find it nowhere. So I had to settle for a two-story home. But you have elderly, and you have also middle-aged people like me who, and sometimes it's hard to go up those steps. So we need to have those options for folks. We need to. Growth must remain balanced in creating a stronger community. I understand there's different levels of how much money you make and things of that nature, but everyone deserves a chance to be in a home if they have that opportunity. And we need to be able to hopefully afford that opportunity to them. We need to streamline unnecessary delays and permitting processes and things that if we're able to. But when it comes to other things, we need to look at, and I'm not saying the county's doing everything wrong, because they have brought in quite a few jobs here, which I think is phenomenal. But we need to look at more high-end jobs for higher pay. We deserve better. We need to focus on workforce development programs instead of trying to bring in a juvenile detention center, wasting taxpayer dollars. Good, right? And we need the partnerships that lead directly to high-paying jobs. The best way is by helping people gain access is better paying jobs through workforce training and education programs. I highly support that. The more we push and put into our young people, the more successful they will be, and as they get older, there will be more productive people in society. As well as we need
That's the first time the buzzer went off.
Oh, okay. I'm trying.
What are your top budget priorities for the county, and under what circumstances, if any, would you support raising property taxes?
Yes, ma'am. My top concerns are it's the roads, it's schools, it's public safety, and it's long-term financial stability. But my most important thing is you're my most important thing. Why? Because of your tax dollars. I'm about making sure that we are more focused on protecting your tax dollars. To be fair, I do not like paying taxes as it is. I do not like seeing my taxes go up you know, and every time I turn around, I see the city's taxes going up. So I don't like it. The county actually has done well with that. But when we see, for example, the city cutting back $3.5 million on the schools, who do you think is probably going to have to take on that burden? It's probably going to be the county. It's probably going to be us. So I'm not for taxing, increasing taxes every time we turn around, but there is a few things that, that I do believe in, and it's children and the elderly. That's two things I love. So if we're putting things in to implement things to help our community, we have to actually look at that and dissect it and make sure it makes sense before I would even agree to increase the taxes.
Commissioner Beal, what are your top budget priorities for the county, and under what circumstances, if any, would you support raising property taxes?
So first off, let me say that the county is not raising property taxes this year. Can't say the same about the city, sorry. My top budget priority is making sure that Montgomery County funds the services people depend on every day, while still respecting the taxpayers who pay the bill. That starts with public safety, schools, emergency services, roads, county facilities, and the basic functions of county government. While those are not the most exciting things to talk about, they are the services people notice when they need them. And they are some of the biggest responsibilities the county government has. At the same time, I believe the budget has to be handled with discipline. Every department has needs. Every elected office has requests. Every good idea has a cost. But the county commission's job is to say yes to everything. Our job is to look at the full picture, set priorities, ask hard questions, and make sure the budget is actually sustainable. As far as property taxes, raising taxes should never be the first answer. Before I could support an increase, before I would ever even think about supporting an increase, I would need to be convinced that the need is real, that it is tied to essential services, and that we have done the work to look for efficiencies, review spending, consider other funding options, go through everything literally line by line, and clearly explain that need to the public. I also think we have to remember that property taxes affect more than just homeowners. They affect renters, seniors on fixed incomes, small businesses, and working families who are already dealing with higher costs. So my position is this: I will support funding the essential services our county needs, but I will not treat taxpayers like an unlimited source of revenue. A tax increase should be the absolute last resort, not a first thought. We have to remember that government does not have its own money. It has your money.
Next question, how will you ensure transparency in zoning decisions, budget allocations, and public input processes while balancing the interests of residents, developers, and long-term growth?
Once again, I think transparency begins with making sure people understand the process from the beginning, not after we vote. Too often, and I talk to many of them, residents feel like they only find out about an issue after the process has already started. That creates frustration, and honestly, I understand. Most people are not, just like I said before, not everybody's reading the agenda or paying attention to every meeting. They're too busy working and raising their families. So when something affects them, the government has a responsibility to explain it clearly. On zoning decisions, that means residents need to understand what's being proposed, where it is, what it could allow, and how they can participate in that process. People shouldn't have to be experts in zoning language to understand what might end up happening near their home. On budget decisions, I believe we need to be just as clear. The budget needs to reflect the county's priorities, and elected officials should be willing to explain why money is being spent, what problem it solves, and how it affects taxpayers. Public input also needs to be treated with respect. That's something that I've fought very hard for the last 4 years. That doesn't mean everyone gets the outcome they want, but it does mean that they deserve to be heard before decisions are made. Balancing residents, developers, and long-term needs requires fairness and common sense. Developers deserve a process that is clear and fair. Residents deserve communication, respect, and a real voice. My approach has always been to listen to all sides, ask practical questions, follow the law, protect the taxpayer, and make the best decision I can based on the facts and what I think is right for District 14 and Montgomery County. Not party pressure, not politics, and definitely not the loudest voice in the room.
Mr. Dailey, how will you ensure transparency in zoning decisions, budget allocations, and public input processes while balancing the interests of residents, developers,
residents deserve transparency. Everyone deserves transparency. And a real voice before major zoning and budget decisions are even made. As soon as something comes about, we need to be informing the public through calling me, via through online channels, or via through town halls. But any form of communication, you need to be informed. That's where transparency starts. I support earlier public notice, easier access to information, and balancing responsible growth with protecting existing communities, and moving opportunities for residents to give back feedback way before votes are even taking place. At the same time, we have to balance the concerns of current residents with the reality that we are growing, and responsible development is necessary, but it must be planned in a way that it protects the infrastructure capacity and public safety and quality of life.
Final question. What do you believe is the biggest issue the county government is currently getting wrong, and how would you approach it differently?
It's growth. It's the rapid growth amount of people that are coming in. And sometimes I believe that perhaps sometimes we might need to pull the throttle back. Growth itself is not the problem. The problem is unmanageable. That's what the problem is. So my focus would be more stronger planning, working with all the different departments, stronger coordination between the departments and agencies, and staying active with being more proactive and taking that proactive approach. So if we do this together, not just I, but we do this together, we can actually make Montgomery County what we want it to be.
Commissioner Beal, what do you believe is the biggest issue the county government is currently getting wrong, and how would you approach it differently?
I think one of the biggest challenges that we have is that we sometimes focus too much on managing issues instead of measuring outcomes. It's easy in government to talk about what we funded, what we approved, or what programs we have. But the real question should be, are they working? Are people getting better service? Are response times improving? Are we actually solving the problem? Or are we just continuing a process? Are taxpayers getting the results they were told they would get? I don't believe every issue should be judged by emotion or politics. I believe we need to look at results. If we invest in a service, we should know what success looks like. If we fund a department, we need to understand what it's accomplishing. If we make a long-term commitment, we should be willing to come back later and ask whether it worked or it didn't work. My approach would be to bring more follow-up and performance-minded thinking to county government. Not in a way that attacks departments or employees, but in a way that respects the taxpayers and helps us make better decisions. County employees do work hard, and many departments are dealing with heavy workloads. But elected officials still have a responsibility to ask questions. What's working? What's not? What needs to change? And in my 7.5 years on the commission, I've done that department by department. To me, good government is not just about passing a budget or approving a project. It's about making sure those decisions actually produce results for the people that we serve. That's the approach that I would continue to bring. Practical, accountable, and focus on outcomes, not just activity.
All right, now we have 2 minutes for a closing statement from each candidate. We'll start with Mr. Dailey.
Again, I want to say thank you to everybody for coming out. At the end of the day, like I said, I'll say it over and over again. Montgomery County is my roots, and here, if you want a county commissioner who is going to be proactive in the streets, talk to everybody, not just a commissioner, but your neighbor, your friend, someone you can call on, and you can even call and talk to me about random football, But if you want someone who's going to be proactive and give them his all, and I'm not going to use an excuse to say, well, that belongs to the city, that belongs to them, but no, that belongs to Montgomery County. So if I need to contact somebody, I'm going to contact them for it, because no one wants to hear, oh, that belongs to the city. No one wants to hear that. We want to hear what we're going to be able to do for Montgomery County, and that's what I'm here for. I'm here for Montgomery County and every single person within this county to make sure that we're going in the right direction, we're taking the right steps. And yes, I'm all about protecting your tax dollars, because I'm trying to protect mine as well. But I'm not just trying to protect your tax dollars. I'm trying to protect livelihood as well. I'm trying to protect green spaces. I'm trying to protect our youth. I'm trying to protect our elderly. I'm trying to protect every single person within Montgomery County. I am here for you. And if you need to call and talk about anything, you can reach out to me. Thank you, and I appreciate your time.
All right, so first off, I'd like to say that District 14 already has that. Respect of, just being respectful. I've been out in the streets for the last 8 years, not just during campaign season. I do it all the time. I'm out. I have conversations with people. My phone blows up, I promise you, all the time, from 7 a.m. until 11 p.m. It happens. People have questions, they have concerns, and they want responses. And as far as talking about city versus county, that's not passing the buck. That's just making sure that the people that actually have the ability to make that change is involved in that process. Sometimes that's county, sometimes that's city, sometimes it's both. But I just want to say thank you again for hosting tonight's forum, and I appreciate everybody being here. Just to talk a little bit about me, I have lived here for 35 years. I was not born here, but I was raised here. I've been a single parent. I'm a brand new grandparent, so I'm still getting used to that. It's great. It really is. Yeah. As far as me personally, I have degrees in business, accounting, and finance. I'm a certified public administrator through the UT Institute for Public Service. I also bring over 25 years of experience in finance, management, operations, and complex budgets. I have served with the focus on being accessible, independent, and honest. My phone number is out there. If you want it, jot it down, 931-614-5969. It'll ring straight to this. But my service goes beyond the commission. Leadership CMCSS, Leadership Clarksville, several local nonprofits. I'm the board chair for Community Action Agency, president of the Citizens Police Academy, budget and allocations chair for United Way, board member for Big Brothers and Big Sisters, a mentor for Tennessee Achieves, and co-chair for Youth Leadership Clarksville Day. I'm independent for a reason. I don't believe every good idea belongs to one party, and I don't believe every bad idea comes from the other party. My job is to not serve a party, but the people of District 14, including people who agree with me and those who don't. I will always put people ahead of political agendas and party politics, and I appreciate you. Thank you. One time, sorry.
Thank you again.
Thank you.
Awesome. So thank you again to the county commissioners who were able to join us tonight. Commissioner Beal and candidate Adrian Dailey, Lisa Prichard, as well as Gary Kinney were both invited and did not join us tonight.
Sorry. Say it.
So now we're going to move on to our school board candidates. We have school board 3 and 5 here tonight. So we have Darryl Anderson, 3, Teresa Crossland, also 3, Jessica Meyers Shaffer, 5, and Jacqueline Burton, 5. If you all will join us up here, I'll make sure we get some additional water as well too.
All right, so we'll go. Okay, we'll go ahead and get started. So let's go into the county commission. We'll start off with 2 minutes for each
Good evening, everybody. My name is Jacqueline Burton, better known as Miss Jackie. I am a mother of one, a grandmother of 5, and a great-grandmother of 1. I'm originally from Toledo, Ohio. I've been here since 2004. I am a veteran of education for 20 years. I just retired May 21st. But I'm just thankful that God allowed me to be in the educational field. I'm running for a school board district because I see and hear the needs and concerns of students, educators, and families on a daily basis. So I've been advocating over 15 years for education, students, families. I have served on the CMCEA Executive Board 3 years, Tennessee Education Association 6 years for their Board of Directors, and the National Education Association Board of Directors for 3 years. Advocating is nothing to me. That is my job. I advocate. I am a strong advocate, and have been, will be, and always will be. So that's why I'm running for District 5 School Board.
Hello, I'm Jessica Meyers Shaffer, and I'm running in District 5, Clarksville, Montgomery County School Board. And thank you so much for inviting me tonight. I love getting to see everybody's faces. And congratulations to my opponent who just unseated an incumbent. So that is definitely an accomplishment. So, yes. A little bit about myself. I am a wife and mother, and I'm from South Nashville. Graduated from Antioch High School in 2005. I went into the Air Force, and I was an avionics mechanic there and served in Little Rock Air Force Base. And when I came back home, I went to Lipscomb University and studied political science and U.S. history, my minor. And then I went into banking, and around 2020, I ended up moving to Cheatham County. There's some family up there, and went on to be a substitute teacher and got a really firsthand experience with what it's like to work with young children. So I moved to Clarksville 2 years ago and took a drastic turn in my career and was cast as a host on a local talk show in Nashville called Bless Your Heart. You can find us on Roku Network there under the flag Film Like a Girl Network. And yeah, I've had the opportunity to work in media and different capacity as well, online, and doing different political shows there as a Timcast media host. And as far as running for school board, I have a son who's going into 8th grade, and I've seen so much of improvement that I know I can bring to the system. And yes. And as far as when I started talking to different individuals within the school system, I thought that I would make improvement this way or that, but the thing I heard over and over was security in our schools and safety and how violent a lot of these kids are. And I think we can do some intervention so that we can get that out of the school system.
Hello everyone, I'm Darryl Anderson, running for School Board District 3, the northernmost part of the county. I am from here, I'm from Clarksville. I can't just say I moved here some time ago. I was born in what is now the produce section of the Publix on Madison Street. It used to be a whole different hospital there. But I grew up here. I went to Ringgold Elementary School. My brother and I, well, he went to Northwest, I went to Northeast. There were 4 high schools. There was 4 high schools. I was, but I came home after traveling most of the country. My training is in telecommunications and communications management. My dad got sick, and I came home in 2020, and I stayed with him until he passed away, and I have been here ever since. And I look and I think about the kids in my neighborhood, and I've talked to a few. And I thought about when I was a little kid, how every evening we were playing in someone's yard, playing basketball, football, cops and robbers, cowboys and Indians. And I don't see, only time I see little kids is when I catch the bus. And so I thought we can do better. And I realized that parents are only 20 years older than their kids. So I think that parents have to be involved. I think kids have to have opportunities. They need to be exposed to different things besides video games and music videos. And I want to help make that difference. Thanks.
All right, the first question. What do you believe is the biggest challenge currently facing Montgomery County, and what specific steps would you take in this role to address it? We'll start with you, Ms. Anderson.
I think planning and infrastructure. When I was growing up here, there was 70,000 people, including Fort Campbell. And now we're almost at 200,000 people. 180. The roads, try to get across town in a hurry, just leave early. That's all I can tell you, leave early. I know the county commission is challenged with all of the pressing needs of the county, but I think we should be able to plan better. I've lived in different communities all over this country. Not so very far, Murfreesboro, where I got my master's degree, communications, Oakland, California, Washington, D.C., Jackson, Mississippi, and back here. And we don't plan with it. We try to fix it versus plan for it. And I think if we do a better job of planning for not only schools and roads and public safety, I think that is a huge challenge for this community. People want to come here, but people don't want to stay here. And I want people to want to stay here. So that's what I think it is. It's infrastructure, planning, and planning for the future for the community.
Mrs. Shaffer, what do you believe is the biggest challenge currently facing Montgomery County, and what specific steps would you take in this role to address it?
Yeah, I think when we look at some of the new industries being brought in, like Korea Zinc is coming in here, we have new hospitals that are added to the system, and I think when we do see that kind of growth, it's going to be, how are we going to keep interdepartmental communication? How are we making sure everything is working cohesively? And it's just, part of the growing pains for that. And when we are experiencing that, it's so much more important. We got to find great leaders and just ensuring that those resources are balanced between the needs of the rural and urban areas between that, and having leaders with their priorities in the right place. And, this isn't a retirement for me. This is my career getting started, and I look forward to serving Montgomery County with that. And I think it is so important for all of us, not just parents. We all have a vested interest in seeing more educated members of society. So that is definitely a priority for me, is making sure that next generation is contributing members of society. Thank you.
Ms. Burton, what do you believe is the biggest challenge currently facing Montgomery County, and what specific steps would you take in this role to address it?
Well, for me, since I'm running for school board, I'm going to talk about education. That is the biggest step for me right now. Maintaining educators, strong educators, as far as teachers, maintaining them, because they're under a lot of pressure these days, and they don't have the support that they really need. So a lot of them have been walking out, they have been quitting, and this is all over the world. And then also we have the bus drivers, we have the classified staff, which is everybody that's not a teacher. Some of them are getting fed up because they're not getting the money that they feel as though they need to get to maintain a livable wage income. We need also have adequate support in the classrooms to make sure that our students are getting the learning that they need, the materials that they need inside of the schoolrooms for the students. How can you teach a student if you don't have the right materials in the classroom that they need? So that's my biggest thing right now in Montgomery County is education, because we need that to make everything better, because the students are our future. So they need to have the materials that they need. They need to have strong educators to help them get to where they need to get to. And by having that in place, that's the biggest thing in my book right now for Montgomery County is education.
All right, the next question. How will you ensure transparency, accountability, and meaningful communication with the people in Montgomery County and local elections?
Okay. Transparency for me, I would have it where the schools that I would be over, I would make sure that I build a relationship with all admin, getting in the trenches, not just hearing about this and doing nothing about it, but hearing it and doing something. I want to build a relationship with all admin. If educators want to build a relationship with me, I'm going to be in there. I'm going to visit those schools. I'm just not going to be sitting on that board and don't enter into a school building. I want to get in the trenches where everything is at. You got to get in there to realize and see for yourself what is really going on, making sure that the schools are being ran the way that they are supposed to be ran. So that is how I'm going to be transparent. That's how I'm going to be accountable for. They can reach out to me anytime. That's my accountability and that's my transparency to the people of Clarksville, to the parents and to the families, to Clarksville, Montgomery County as a whole. I'm going to be out there in the trenches. Not with my boots on the ground, but my feet on the ground, because when I wear out my boots, my feet still gonna be on the ground.
Mrs. Shaffer, how will you ensure transparency, accountability, and meaningful communication with the people of Montgomery County if elected?
I absolutely agree with Ms. Burton that face-to-face communication is priceless. There is nothing like it when you are sitting in front of someone and they're able to express themselves to you, and you're also, anybody wants my cell phone number, you're welcome to have it, and text me whatever issues you might have with that. Also, I'd like to see the school board utilize social media a lot more. I feel like some of the statements we got now have just been, either delayed, mixed messaging, things like that. So utilizing social media, definitely, and being at events as well, showing up for our kids, and community forums like this. And as you see, there's other people that don't feel like it's important to either reach across the aisle or be present, but regardless of what happens, I would love the feedback from all different parties and walks of life as far as that goes. And further on communication, I realized when, with my son being in the school system, there was not a lot of policies or clear procedures on ways that they were communicating with me. And there were so many times I would just like a phone call of a situation going on, and that's not happening right now. So I would like to put policies in place for that as well. And more than that, when teachers or administrators, they see issues going on with the student, let's give them contacts or other kind of resources so they can help those children, because they're seeing them every day and know more what they need. So when we start doing the communication between the different departments and with parents and things like that, I think that will help our children succeed. Thanks.
Mr. Anderson, how will you ensure transparency, accountability, and meaningful communication with the people of Montgomery County if elected?
Well, I said I was from here, and I went to Ringgold Elementary School, right across 41. And I remember in the 5th grade, my teacher called my mother in, because we had these heaters, and we would play around in his class, and he said, "Mrs. Anderson, you have the worst behaved little boy I've ever had to teach." And she looked at me, and I never want her to look at me. And she said, "How am I just now hearing about these problems you're having with Darryl?" Well, there's email, there's telephones, and there's ways to be accessible to the community. I want to do that through a website. I want to do it through email. I'll do it through phone, and I will do it through town halls and hear about what's going on in the schools. I'll also, after I beat my opponent that didn't show up, I'll also work with the schools to understand what's going on in the schools, so I can be a voice of the schools and a voice of the school board. But I think that people now, if you look at the parents, they're very young, and they're learning just like our students. And so I want to do workshops in the community, especially with our younger parents, and work with the teachers, figure out ways to best communicate with the parents of the students.
All right, now we'll go into questions specific to school board. The first question, how should the district improve student achievement in reading, math, and career readiness while balancing workforce preparation, technical education, and academic standards? Mrs. Shaffer.
Okay.
Mrs. Shaffer. All right, thank you. When I'm just not a lot of accessibility where it's at right now. And I would like to see more, ways to improve that. But also what we're seeing now, and they've talked a lot about this at Kenwood Middle, and I appreciate the staff there touching on this, but we're seeing more electronics and people doing research on phones. If we could find ways to put more paper in these kids' hands, books, things like that, we are seeing, just some different studies of that that's actually helping kids retain information a lot more versus just, it's electronic, it's flying out their brains as soon as it's in there. So another approach to that would be encouraging students to want to learn and just to want to show up at school. And to do that, we're going to need to create a better environment for learning and to help the teachers out to do that as well. And I think a lot of the other problems with that will naturally fall into place. And I think that motivation is such a better tool than punishment on that. So if we kind of look at encouraging those students and we can, and as far as workforce preparation, I would like to bring in, to expose our students to some of the options they have available. Where I grew up, there wasn't a lot of talk of what were you doing after school, and Antioch High School, the rumors are true. If you don't have a plan for what you're doing right after school, especially that 18 to 20-year-old mark when you could be going to the military, things like that. If we bring in either recruiters for that, other people maybe in civil service, police, firemen, things like that, obviously college recruiters, tech school recruiters, things like that, and just show them what is possible, because you won't know that unless you have that example to see what is possible for that. Thank you. Getting it right at 2, y'all.
9 seconds to spare.
9 seconds.
Ms. Burton, how should the district improve student achievement in reading, math, and career readiness while balancing workforce preparation, technical education, and academic standards?
On that, I believe that they should continue to do RTI, but hire people to do RTI and not the teachers doing it. They should have people that's qualified to do that. Not saying the teachers is not qualified, they are, but they don't have time because it's taken away from their groups, their classroom setting to do the RTI. So if they had that in place, that would be good. Math, we have to make sure that the math that we're teaching is acceptable and receivable to all students. Not just the general ed population, but also the other population of the school setting. Because this year they had this new math that we had to teach. And I was working with the English language learner kids, and I had to teach my kids, they had to learn it that way, the new way that they have it, but my kids couldn't learn it that way, so I taught them the way that I knew. And I told them, they want you to learn it this way, but make sure you do it which way is easier. So they did it the easier way. So we need to make sure that all the material is side-based for all students in whatever generation, population that they're in. And then on the, what was part of the question?
Technical education and academic standards.
Okay. Technical, kids get on here. I mean, kids can work computers like, they work better than me. But maintaining what really needs to be learned, they're not really getting it. Because why? They're so focused in this game on this computer or this game on that computer. Booking and all of them is real good. I play that with the kids in the classroom sometimes, and I've been winning it to get. But nevertheless, we just need to have the materials that they really need in place so they can get the education that's going to help them in today's society. Not back then, but in today's society, they really need that education material for them. Thank you.
Mr. Anderson, how should the district improve student achievement in reading, math, and career readiness while balancing workforce preparation, technical education, and academic standards?
Well, I think early literacy training, invest heavily in K-3 reading and mathematics, and then using evidence-based instruction. I think that it's a different time and we have to treat things differently. I'm trained in technology and I handle technology for cities all around the country. And my kids who are now grown hate that because I would ask them to go to their rooms, they had computers and laptops, and I'd say, you're working on studying and you've done your homework, and they say, yeah, Pop. I would say, let me see your browser history. And I said, what? I want to see what you've been doing. So I would look at that, and we talk about it's important to do that. Parents have to get involved. Again, I'm big on parents getting involved. And then they have to work with the schools to ensure that the technology is in the schools and there's technical education programs in the schools. So that's how I think we can achieve those things. I think there should be a tiered support system, expand our tutoring and after-school programs, and summer learning for struggling students. So I'm in favor of all that. And I'm in favor of your last question, accessibility of both the parents and the teachers. And I think those two people, groups of people, should know each other. When I was a kid, my mother, after my little excursion with the 5th grade, what we called it, again, she knew who my homeroom teachers were, and she knew my other teachers. I think now parents don't know their kids' homeroom or their teachers are, and I've got to encourage that from both directions.
Next question. Teacher recruitment and retention remain major challenges nationwide. What specific steps would you support regarding teacher pay, benefits, classroom support, and working conditions, and how would you fund them? How would you, Mr. Anderson?
We have got to pay these teachers. If you look at a teacher's salary coming in, you make more money managing a restaurant. Is that what you want to do? There are people that are naturally born teachers, I guess, but we need to come up with incentives to make it an attractive profession. I think that the teachers that I've met, the people that teach and do well teaching, they love to teach. But I think, again, retention is important for these types of teachers. There's benefits expansions we could be doing, reducing the workloads, and mentorship programs. There should be leadership pathways for our new teachers, newly started teachers, and our experienced teachers to benefit from it. Because I've walked through the schools, and I've seen the kids, and I've talked to the kids, and even though I've lost about 100 pounds, I walk through schools and I've had high school boys say to me, what are you looking at, boy? And I'm thinking, man, these are different times. I can imagine having ever said something when I was in school. Even to a stranger man walking through the school. So I think there's opportunities for us to grow here, and there's opportunities for us to improve. And like I said, I want to help improve it on the teacher side and the parent side.
Mr. Shaffer, teacher recruitment and retention remain major challenges nationwide. What specific steps would you support regarding teacher pay, benefits, classroom support, and working conditions, and how would you fund them?
You know, I have a tremendous respect for teachers, and it has, famously a thankless job a lot of times. I don't ever give them enough recognition, I feel like. And I would like to look at things that's like, how are we motivating good teachers to come into the system? And I think that it's more than pay. And of course, I'd be willing to have conversations about pay and benefit negotiations. That's absolutely on the table. But, I look forward to finding out different ways that could be improved, absolutely, and absolutely willing to consider it. But, when we're looking at the people like this gentleman just said, as far as some people are natural born teachers, yes, that's true. And when they are coming into environments like we've seen in some of the Montgomery County schools where we're experiencing violence and things like that, that's not making a good environment for those teachers or those children in those circumstances. So, they already have enough challenges as it is when they're trying to compete with all these different electronics and things like that, trying to hold their attention. So that just creates this other barrier to learn, and we're creating just resistance to that. So, and that's not necessarily always a matter of funding on that, and it's more about improving our policies for that. In the military, they always say, work smarter, not harder, and I think that absolutely applies in all different areas. And in this case, budgeting smarter and is going to be, instead of just straight demanding more, and ensuring that the money that we do get is not mismanaged and it's going to the right places to make those improvements. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Burton,
pay. Give the teachers the years that they have been working, have been teaching, make sure you pay them what they're worth. Because as I talked to some of the teachers at my school, they were saying, how can a first-year teacher come in and be getting almost the same pay as what they're getting? It's not right. Give the teachers as many years as they have been in that system, give them their due. Pay them that money that is due them. Also, not just the teachers, but you have educational assistants. When the teacher is out and they cannot find a sub, they put an assistant in that room. That assistant to me has dropped the title of educational assistant and went in the title as substitute teacher, but she's not getting any more pay. That's saving the district money right then and there. They're not getting that pay, but they're in that role for the whole day. Pay the teachers what they're worth. Pay all educators for what they're worth. That's the thing right there. And you will be able to keep the teachers because that's the biggest thing that they're talking about. I'm making this and I'm making this, but I'm not getting paid for this. We're steadily getting things added on to us on a daily basis, week by week, but there's no more pay. Pay the teachers for what they're worth. Pay all educators for what they're worth. You will maintain bus drivers. You will maintain educational assistants if the money was right there to pay them for what they're doing. Education is not easy. It's not easy because you're dealing with all kinds of attitudes, behaviors. You're dealing with all that. So this is why some people are walking out of the profession because of the lack of funds that is being given unto them. When you're saving money, pay them. Pay them that money that's due them. Thank you.
All right, the next question. As Montgomery County continues to grow rapidly, how should the school district plan for increasing enrollment and balance investments between building new schools and maintaining existing facilities? We'll start with you, Ms. Murray.
Okay, my thing is, first of all, fix up these schools that are real old. Because you have these schools nowadays, like my school, Hazelwood. You have mold in that building. You have bad heating, air conditioning, and everything in those buildings. Fix up those ones, and then branch out to getting the newer schools, building newer schools. You got portables. Make sure the portables are working. You have portables which don't have a bathroom. Some have bathrooms, and the bathrooms aren't working. Running water isn't working in there. Fix those things up as while you're spending all this other money, make sure you're fixing up the things that are already in place. I'm all for new schools, but then you also got these older schools that have been around for a long time. Fix them up. You can look up in the ceiling and you see all kinds of stuff. Take time and do that. You have the money, want to get a new school, put some money in the old schools. We need to do that. We're saving money, or however they saying, where we don't have all this money, but if you manage the money right, the budget right, things can get done. And it's all about putting money where it needs to be, really, before you start branching out into all this other stuff.
Mr. Shaffer, as Montgomery County continues to grow rapidly, how should the school district plan for increasing enrollment and balance investments between building new schools and maintaining existing facilities?
Yeah, I think to answer something like that, it's really going to be that collaboration again with different county commissioners and other departments that are going to have an impact on the schools and our children. So as far as just blanket saying we need to fix up this and that at the other school, I think evaluating each different school on an individual level will be more beneficial. So, like the stadium in Nashville, they ended up finding out it was cheaper and more efficient to just get rid of the old one and build a new one. So we may be looking at situations like that in our district as well. And, there is a lot to be said with putting different policies in place as we are seeing our population grow quite a bit. And it's going to be crucial to elect a school board member that's going to enact some of those policies that are carrying us into the future. And there's also been, on my part, a lot of I've reached out to different departments and the sheriff's department and things like that to try to see what we can do to collaborate with each other on that so that these issues that we're seeing now, smaller issues, aren't growing into much larger ones down the line. Thank you.
Mr. Anderson, as Montgomery County continues to grow rapidly, how should the school district plan for increasing enrollment and balance investments between building new schools and maintaining existing facilities?
Well, like I said, Alan, so old that there were 4 or 5 high schools when I went to school. And every school was different. It's sort of a different community, but the building, the physical building itself, looked different. And I've had the luxury of working in different communities around the country in technology, everywhere from Oakland, California to Washington, D.C., to Jackson, Mississippi, even Hopkinsville, Kentucky. And one of the things that I realized is that I go out to help the schools, and especially at the high school and middle school level, the schools all looked alike. Well, they buy one set of plans, and they build it, and rebuild it, and rebuild it. And they don't pay hundreds of thousands of dollars to design schools every time they make a new one. So I think there should be a plan like we do a 20-year plan for the city or the county in building and growth. And when we look at those schools and our plans for our growth, we should be able to anticipate some growth in some certain areas of the city and in the county. Where I went to Northeast High School, Clarksville, where there's schools now like Kenwood and the other schools that are here, they were just cornfields and tobacco fields when I grew up. We didn't think about the city or the county growing. I think we should have a 20-year growth plan, and I think we should do better with the plan commission so that we accommodate the need for the schools and the students.
Next question, what measures do you support to improve school safety and student well-being, including mental health resources, discipline policies, and the role of school resource officers? What's up, Ms. Shaffer?
Yes. When I started, was in the school system here, I discovered that there was just some large communication gaps between the different departments, and it's the fault of it. It's not necessarily with one specific person or policy, and it's just one of the challenges that are coming with the growth from our school system. So, again, I have reached out to Mike Oliver, for example, and said, hey, what are the roles of the SROs in our schools? Like, what are we doing with that? And, having some more standardized policies in place as to the role of the administration on that and what the different roles are. I'd like to see them more kept as a patrol unit instead of, we are policing our schools, we're intimidating our children. So, enacting policies like that will definitely be helping with school safety. And also, we're looking at different, juvenile facilities and questions of that. So I would like to see us start having more conflict resolution in schools so it doesn't trickle down and then they are in the system, part of the sheriff's department.
What measures do you support to improve school safety and student well-being, including mental health resources, discipline policies, and the role of school resource officers?
Okay, first of all, we all, as educators in that building, we look out for our students. We have a sense of responsibility to make sure our students are being kept safe. The SROs are through the county sheriff's office, and their roles is they collaborate with administration. They collaborate closely with administration to make sure that the staff and the students are safe. They maintain order in the schools and investigate crimes when they happen. But then you have some SROs that will go above and beyond, especially when there's a bad crime going on or there's a real bad behavior going on in the school. They will stand toe-to-toe in front of whoever needs to be dispersed. So they work real close with them, and they provide security as well as informal. They act as informal counselors to students and staff. Our SRO in our building takes time out with the students. Talk to them, laugh with them, even educate them by asking them questions pertaining to math, asking them what did they learn that day. They take time out with them. And it's all about building those relationships in the building with your SRO. If you know your SRO, you're good. Just don't look at them as security in the building. Each SRO that has ever been in my building, I hold a conversation as I'm walking by, good morning, good afternoon. You have to do that because this lets the students know also they're here for this, but they're also here for that. They're going to take the time out with us to let us know that we are safe, that we can depend on them to keep us safe. We can depend on them if we just want to have a conversation, because when some of the students are really acting out, the SRO will talk to them and have that conversation with them. So SROs are not just there for safety. That is the biggest part that they're there for, but they also build those relationships also with the students as well as the educators too.
Mr. Anderson, what measures do you support to improve school safety and student well-being, including mental health resources, discipline policies, and the role of school resource officers?
Well, I believe in the SROs being involved in the schools. One of the things that's important is that they stay in the schools and they get to know the students there. You can push and prod as much as you want to, but parents are different. They will know. And getting to know those parents from a teacher's perspective and vice versa is important. I think that any one of my teachers could have called my parent when I was growing up, and they could have talked to them about the problems that I was having and how to go. Mr. Dailey, who was up here earlier, his dad was my school bus driver for 6 years. I trained schools, I think I'm chatting with Mr. Dailey, and he trained schools. So Mr. Dailey would call me all the time and say, "You sit here right now, I'm coming to you, girl." And so everyone from the teachers to the SROs to the school bus drivers played an important part in the students' career within the schools, as well as the parents. So I think that between the SROs and then for us to be able to find mental health resources for kids that have unique problems that there needs to be intervention in, should be available. Early intervention is important, and consistent discipline policies across the schools is important. We need to work on our bullying prevention, because I hear about that all the time. That's the number one thing that I hear from parents. When I go into the community, is their kids being dealing with bullying. So I'm looking forward to finding new solutions to do better at getting involved and getting the parents involved in the SROs.
And then the final question, what do you believe is the appropriate role of parents in district decision-making, and how would you maintain transparency and public trust during disagreements between families and the school system? Okay, what do you believe is the appropriate role of parents in district decision-making, and how would you maintain transparency and public trust during disagreements between families and the school system?
First thing I'd say is you gotta be there. You can't just drop them off at school or drop them off at the school bus stop and walk away and do your thing. Go out with your friends, with your girls, go drinking with the fellas, playing golf with guys. You have to spend time as a parent with those kids. I think the same thing happens on the opposite side with the people. The teachers are doing a much better job of being involved with the students. But finding a way to encourage and facilitate communication between the two is incredibly important. And I would like to find ways to help with that.
Ms. Shaffer, what do you believe is the appropriate role of parents in district decision-making, and how would you maintain transparency and public trust during disagreements between families and the school system?
Yeah, I'll just say that I am a parent and I'm going to be feeling the impacts of whoever is up here, up on the school board representing us. And there is a lot of
their role for a parent is to be there for their student, to be held accountable also for their students' behavior as well as their own behavior, because we know some parents can get out of hand. So if educators are held to a certain point of accountability, parents and students are everybody accountable for the decisions that they make every day. We have to hold everybody accountable for those decisions. So me as a person, me as an individual, me as an educator, I stand with everybody, and I will hold confidentiality. I don't mind sitting down talking to people. I have no problem with that. Anybody want to reach out and talk to me, I'm willing, able, and ready to hold them conversations, because we need that. That way we're working the good for our students at all times. We're working together as one, making sure that the student is getting the things that they need, the education that they need at all times.
Well, now give you 2 minutes, closing statements from each one of you, whichever of you is first.
First of all, I just want to say thank you for hosting this, Black Clarksville. Thank y'all for hosting it. I just want to say I am a strong advocate for education. I am a strong advocate for students, educators, and families. Like I said, phone call, email, text, whatever, I'm there. If whatever I don't know, I'm willing to learn. I'm always willing to learn. I didn't know how to bake a cake, but I learned how to bake. Even if I had to read the ingredients, I learned how to bake that cake. So what I'm saying by that, whatever I need to do to learn the seats of the school board, the policies of the school board, I am willing to do that. I'm a hard worker at all times. Like I said before, when I was in Washington, D.C., I talked to legislators. I advocated for legislators. I advocated with the legislators up for education and the families. The first time I went to Washington, D.C. to talk with the legislators, on my way to the Capitol, there was this sign. I'm talking a little fast. There was this sign that said, "I can't afford to put food on my own table, and I'm working at my student school." When I got there, we did whatever we had to do, talk to the legislator. But when he said, "Anybody else have anything to say?" my hand came up. And I said, on my way to the Capitol, I seen this sign, and I took a picture of it. It's still in my phone. And I showed him. I said, for one, this should not be here. Because this is Washington, D.C., where the laws are made. This should not be here. This woman can't even afford to put food on her table, but yet and still, she's doing it, working in the kitchen at her son's school. So we need to be there, advocate, and that's what I'm doing. I'm a strong advocate for all, not just the teachers, not just for classified staff, but everybody, every family, every student, because why? They need us to advocate for them because they cannot advocate for themselves. And the parents, the families need us to advocate with them.
I also want to say thank you so much for being here tonight. This has been a wonderful experience. And, there's a lot of other candidates who say, okay, I don't have to be here. I'm a Republican and we live in a red district. But I disagree with that. I have tremendous respect for you guys inviting everybody to this. And I think it's, it's important to have open kind of dialogue, because it's not that it just wins election, but it's going to improve the system. We throw out all those different ideas and see what's the best for the policy. And my son he's going into 8th grade, and again, I just hope to have the opportunity to improve his experience. He has a couple more years left in the school system. And here in Montgomery County, we are, it's like if you watch the news, we're in unprecedented times. We're having we just had the school bus crash at Kenwood Middle. That's another thing I'd like to, address and get some resolution of that, what happened with everything. Obviously, cell phone policies, as we just saw that happened, the issue with the other teacher, and you guys know all of that kind of things. And, even here in Clarksville, we just saw the shooting and down at the Capitol. That's creating all kinds of First Amendment questions. We're going to even see stuff like that in schools. It's just part of it. And even with redistricting happen and different riots and stuff, and all these different conflicts, and I see that a lot, is we have not taught them from the time they were young to start resolving some of those conflicts, be educated on how to behave and how to treat other people. So I just encourage you, when you go there August 6th, that you are going to vote on your principles and not just your party lines with that. And yes, I hope to have your support on August 6th and to represent Montgomery County School Board. So thank you so much for having me here this evening.
Thanks. Like I said, my district is in the northernmost part of the city. I'm a Clarksville native, and I am very, very thankful to Black Clarksville for having this forum today. My schools are West Creek. Those schools there, Ringgold Elementary School, Barker's Mill. They're all in the very northern part of town, and I hope to be able to represent those folks. This has been my fourth community event, and only the fourth time that my candidate competition hasn't shown up. So I'm looking forward to a very, very rigorous election. I think that it's time for someone to find an answer to get the parents more involved. It's not like when I was growing up, and their parents are a lot younger and younger and younger, and you're having to educate the parents as much as the students are. And I think finding ways, creative ways to do that is important. I'm from Clarksville, and I see the change that's going along from when I was going to Ringgold and my brother went to Burns Darden, and we both went to New Providence, and he went to Northwest, and I went to Northeast, and he'd tell me all the time, you've got the perfect face for radio, you should run for school board. And that's what I want to do, is represent the parents and the students and the teachers in my district.
And so just in closing, thank you again to the candidates who showed up, both school board and commission. Thank you all for showing up in person. Thank you to everybody online. It just left my mind, but the reason that we do this, you just stated, like, we hope that everybody is voting not on party lines, really taking the time to learn about who was in the community, who was running, who was going to represent you. I too was not born here, but I was raised here. Shout out to Ringgold Elementary, Ringgold Eagles. I also went to Ringgold, Kenwood Middle School and Kenwood High School. I love this community. I love growing here. I love watching the community grow. I think we need to make sure that we are holding our neighbors accountable to go to the polls and vote. Again, I'm going to mention a low voter turnout. We've got a lot of candidates on the ballot this year for August and for November. That voter registration deadline, again, is July 17th. 17th is the early voting start, apologies, to August the 1st. Please get out and vote. Please bring your friends, family, grandma, auntie, have them log on. We are live on Facebook right now. Our next candidate forum, yes. So they've been listening in. We've had a lot of people tuning in with us. Our next candidate forum is going to be June 9th at the main branch library. At that forum, we'll be doing circuit court clerk, county commissions 1, 2, and 21. Again, we do have Equity Alliance here that has voter registration information, also candidate guides. Please come over and get the candidate guides. I am looking up voter registration, voter information. So if you didn't know your city ward, your county commission, all that jazz, we can get it written down for you and also get you a refrigerator magnet with the upcoming election days that also has those voter registration and early voting days and your absentee dates on them. We invited every candidate that was running for these positions to be here today. We tried multiple times to reach out. We have called, we have emailed, we have gone above and beyond. So I just want to make sure we are abundantly clear about that. For anyone said they were not invited or were not contacted, that is incorrect. Same thing for all the ones that are coming up. So I do want us to take note of who is showing up and what that means for how they'll show up for us in the community. So thank you again to all of you for being here. Thank you to our county commission candidates who are here, and we'll see you guys on the 9th.